Frank Dialogue with Dr. JJ Tabane. Let's talk frankly.
Coming to you tonight on the sidelines of the launch of the Diamond Show that will happen on the sidelines of the mining Indaba that's happening here in Cape Town. And tonight we're broadcasting from the Strauss and Company auction house where this launch was happening. And in this launch, a number of speakers highlighted the importance of the mining and industry, but particularly the diamond industry that is blossoming, particularly in South Africa and across the subcontinent. And amongst those speakers was the minerals ministers from Lesotho and South Africa, as well as the CEO of the State Diamond Trader. And they all join me tonight here as my panel to make me understand the future of particularly natural diamonds. Ladies, gentlemen, thank you so much for agreeing to talk to us tonight.
Thank you. Thank you, JJ.
Right. Minister, in your speech tonight, sort of heralding this new and renewed focus on the diamond industry, you talked about the fact that Africa, I'm paraphrasing you here, that Africa must get its act together in as far as owning, if you like, the space of diamond. Just elaborate on that and how you see that inter-Africa collaboration around this kind of industry happening.
Africa is having what we call Africa Diamond Producers Association. The only major diamond producer who is not a member is Botswana.
And that's a pity because they're a big player.
Yeah, that's Botswana. Yeah. And our view is that Botswana must be a member.
Yes.
If it is not, it is going to be a weak link for developed economies to enter into Africa and destabilize us. And Africans have no choice other than to work together.
Yes.
We may not love one another, but working together is a must for all of us.
Why hasn't that happened? Why has Botswana been excluded or excluded itself all along?
I have been to Botswana and I will still go back to them. We're meeting during the Indaba. We'll talk to them that Botswana, you must be a member. Because your absence there create an entry point for destabilization of the African continent. And this continent is so important with diamond and any other mineral. And working together is not a choice, but a must.
Absolutely. And I think, Minister, if you can come in there, the key thing has been that we produce the diamonds, but because of whatever reason, these are controlled somewhere, including the standardization and so on. There was a debate about even certification of these diamonds having to happen elsewhere in the continent. Your view there?
Yeah, I think you are right, JJ. You find that most of the value chain is outside Africa, and probably it's because of historical reasons, the way these things have been set up. Minister Gwede was actually saying this afternoon that, for instance, countries like Belgium, they don't produce any diamonds, but all the diamonds, most of the diamonds go there for selling. There's no reason why, as Africans, we can't have our own setup of frameworks to actually do what they are doing here. I think it's probably because of historical reasons, like I say. If you look at the industry itself, there's destabilization everywhere. You don't see countries, African countries coming together and collaborating to address those issues.
Yeah, but why has that happened? Why hasn't either SADC or AU or even the Africa Trade Agreement sorted that out?
Yeah. Well, I think the other problem might be politics, in the sense that you find most governments do not last their full term. By the time you probably last as a minister 2 or 3 years, and then you are changed. A new minister comes in, he tries to learn what needs to be done. So even political instability plays a role, apart from the fact that there are definitely players who want the status quo to prevail.
Yeah, that's interesting because if you look at Lesotho, you have been the longest government in place without much trouble. Botswana has had stability. South Africa has had stability. So, you know, in a sense, you've got a platform, you know, to fix that. But, you know, maybe we need somebody like State Diamond Trader to help you. You have an Africa strategy, Sis Nozi, about how, you know, these kind of things that they are raising could actually, just on a straightforward bureaucratic level, be gotten to work professionally.
You know, Africa is a 60% producer of diamonds. So that means it is the majority producer of diamonds in the world. So if all the countries of Africa contribute towards the diamond production, 60%, I think Africa intra-trade, it's something that we really need to take it seriously.
Yeah.
And how do we do that? If you look at countries like South Africa, we as the State Diamond Trader, we have been in existence for 17 years in terms of diamond beneficiation.
Yeah.
But you have countries that now, like if you look at Angola, that they have gone into exploration. They've got new mines that they are developing.
Yes.
South Africa has been in existence in diamond mining for over 100 years. I think the interchange of skills where we share what each country has an experience on, I think there's a deep need that then we work together in terms of what each country has strength on and build on that. Looking at South Africa, it's got all the infrastructure. Why are we not the hub of the trading of diamonds? Why our diamonds have to go via Dubai? And why are we not doing that in South Africa? So I think it's an opportune time for Africa to take that trading of diamonds into its own hands and be in charge, because they are the major producers.
Yeah, it's interesting what you are saying there, but can you tell me whether or not you have reached out to your counterparts who are doing exactly what you are doing in Botswana, in Lesotho, in Angola, where these things are being produced? Or has there been a lot of inward-looking approach, for whatever reason, in trading in diamonds?
Actually, as the State Diamond Trader, we have approached the minister. I had engaged him last year, where we're looking at the State Diamond Trader, how we can source diamonds from Lesotho and get them beneficiated in South Africa. We're currently in conversations with the Okavango Diamond Company, which is the state-owned entity of Botswana, trying to see how best can we then, as a State Diamond Trader, we can source.
So you're
diamonds.
not waiting for the politicians. You are taking initiative. No, I'm not getting into trouble.
No. Actually, I am not in trouble.
Yeah.
If you look at our Diamond Act of South Africa,
Yeah.
they did foresee it that there is a need. Actually, by the Act, the State Diamond Trader is allowed to source diamonds outside South Africa. It is in our own
Okay.
Act.
No,
So
wonderful.
I am actually not acting out of these
mandate. You are
politicians.
within the
I'm
mandate.
within the mandate and
Yeah.
the law or that governs
Yeah,
me.
Minister, please link that to me on beneficiation, because I just feel it's a little bit of a slogan.
Just leave
Yeah.
the legislation and policy. I have received a CAB memo from State Diamond Trader asking for permission to do just that.
Yeah.
I have signed that to agree
Yeah.
that they must experiment with trading with neighboring countries on diamonds.
Yeah.
And I think if they do that, we're going to assess the progress they are making there.
Yeah.
And beneficiation will depend on creating smaller entities and young entities that will do cutting and polishing of diamonds.
Yeah.
We should,
We're exporting diamonds raw, right? The minister was talking a little bit about how diamonds mined in Lesotho could come back with a price tag of 28. I mean, it's unfathomable stuff. Money they didn't make in taking that raw diamond, you know, to whatever country, and then people sell it to us more expensively. So I would like you to zone into that.
I can tell you that Lesotho has produced quite good quality of diamonds. All we need to do is to work together as neighbors and see if there is capacity for cutting and polishing of those diamonds. If we work together, will do much better.
All right, I need to take a break.
But if we compete,
yeah,
we're going to pull one another down.
yeah, I want to come to that exactly because you're telling me about what we call future present tense. I want to understand the past tense. Why have we not done beneficiation in a pointed way when we have all these mineral resources? I'll talk about that after the break. Thank you for engaging in this conversation. After the break, we zone in with my guests about beneficiation. A lot has been said about beneficiation. You hear it, as a punchline everywhere for years. I mean, in South Africa, we're talking 30 years of just, saying this thing must happen. But has much happened, and what are the plans? We talk about that after the break. Stay tuned. On the sidelines of the mining in Indaba, specifically, we are at the Strauss and Company auction house where the State Diamond Trader is launching a diamond show that will happen here on the sidelines of Indaba in Cape Town, where they'll be showcasing some of the natural diamonds produced in the subcontinent. Beneficiation, now, zone into that. Why in your view, 30 years down the line after you've been in charge, right, this has not been the central thing that we do to change the trajectory of the mining industry? Instead of just taking the gold, the diamond, sending it overseas, but saying, oh, stop it, let's make sure this makes jobs, this generates economic growth, contributes more to the GDP.
There is some beneficiation happening in South Africa.
Okay.
It's not big enough in the diamond sector.
Yeah.
But more important, in the region, one of the most important things that is critical for development today is individuals involved. Because you can talk of party political positions, but the personnel and the individuals holding positions, if they're not driving that, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You see, it must be in me to be able to minister Mleko to say, what can we do? What part of this beneficiation can happen in Maseru? What should happen in Kimberley? What should happen in Johannesburg? We agree on that. We collaborate on that.
Yeah.
And I think we're in a good frame of mind now to do more within a short space of time.
Do we have capacity, CEO, for beneficiation? Just talk to me straight about it. I mean, where you are based, next to the airport, we've been hearing forever that it's going to be an industrial park. And I mean, if you press the tape, it would have been maybe the former mayor of Ekurhuleni talking 10 years ago, how this is going to be a hub of beneficiation and so on. Why the snail's pace in that regard? What are the impediments?
Capacity is there. If you look at where we are based, we are at the industrial development zone, and we as an entity moved there 3 years ago, and companies are coming. And I think we need to look at, when we talk intra-Africa trade, how each country differs from each country. Like, for instance, I'm going to make an example that in Botswana, as I'm embarking on buying diamonds from Botswana, diamonds in Botswana are zero rated. They don't carry tax. And we need to look at what's the impact then of me bringing those diamonds here in South Africa, if I'm then getting all these diamonds from all over the African continent. What tax implication does what impacts on that? So how do we then make sure that as we get into buying these diamonds outside South Africa, how do we then make sure that the consumer or the one who does the cutting and polishing, they come at a price that is market related, and they are not carrying a heavy cost because of the tax implications.
Yeah. That's interesting, but do you have a sense of what I can call the beneficiation footprint? Like, where you are sitting, are you able to say, for example, there are this manufacturing plants here in South Africa, there, and so on. And when you look at that map, would you say that we're almost 50% there towards ensuring that we beneficiate, particularly diamonds, or we're so far behind that we're gonna need some acceleration? What's your assessment there?
I'm going to talk specifically about the clients that the State Diamond Trader, it does provide diamonds to. So the State Diamond Trader, on its database, we have about 90 clients.
90.
And 90,
90,
which are your historically disadvantaged South Africans,
Yeah.
that we then give access to them of these raw materials. And some of them, they own factories, and some of them through partnership and relationships. So then one will rent a bench from the other one. So some of them, they are at a development stage, and some of them, we call them niche clients. And then we bring them together to have a working relationship. So your niche client can be able to bring up your developmental client. So there is an opportunity to take your developmental client to the next stage. And that's what State Diamond Trader is doing, to ensure that you're bringing this black, historically disadvantaged South African, and you partner them with someone who has been in the industry for over 40 years, to then give them the skill and give them access to what they cannot have funds to operate in having their own factories, but rent a bench in someone else's factory.
I'll come back to that, because I would like you to quantify what that means in terms of, for example, GDP contribution, etc. And that's what I was trying to assess, whether are we far behind, or we'll come back to that. But let me go to Lesotho. What initiatives have you taken to beneficiate the diamonds you are mining there?
Well, I think in Lesotho we really have a problem, in the sense that our quantities of diamonds are very low. And I think because of them being low, us not having the capacity in terms of maybe the educational system that directs maybe our youth to go into the industry, we lack capacity, we lack the volumes. So to me it says that we should have political will to break all these silos. We should learn from South Africa or Botswana. If there's a need for aggregation of these diamonds to go to a bigger market, whether it's in Botswana or South Africa, that's what we should do. But working alone, I think we have a challenge. Right now we've started artisanal mining, but we are probably going around it probably the wrong way, because we don't have the benefit of experiences of other countries. Because you find that African countries are not open to each other. It's almost like they are competing rather than collaborating. But I think these initiatives now may bear fruit, in the sense that you can see that people are waking up to the fact that we need to collaborate more and not really compete, so that Africa as a whole can compete with the rest of the world.
Yeah, it's interesting you raised the issue of artisanal mining. I thought you were not going to raise it at all, because diamonds, unlike gold and so on, it looks like they may lend themselves easily to artisanal mining, because people don't have to dig, 10 feet down and whatever. They could find diamonds really hiding in plain sight, right? And I want us to delve into that a little bit. I mean, how much of the industry, right, is in a sense dependent on a proper framework for artisanal mining? Start there, and then I'll get back to South Africa.
Yeah,
then, the CEO has talked about almost 90 people. In this 90, are there some who could be considered in that category? You'll comment on them, but let's just start on artisanal mining.
I think in terms of artisanal mining, we've started the program this year to issue license to artisanal miners, looking at the fact that we have a lot of alluvial diamonds. I mean, diamonds where you can go to rivers and start and start.
You don't need a shaft and all of that stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's why we are starting. But like I said, the problem with the whole thing is that we need people who have the experience of artisanal mining, the legal frameworks, to actually help us set up those frameworks to make sure that it's regulated. For instances, you are talking about taxes. How do these people pay tax?
Yeah.
What is the security?
Because some of them are not registered as businesses.
Yes. What is the security around those operations? You know, to avoid criminal activity. So there's a lot of things that need to be done, but to wait without actually now exploring and trying to get the experience from that would be detrimental to us.
Yeah, that should sound like music in your ears, Minister, because there's a general feeling that the artisanal mining should be accelerated in order to mitigate what we call here zamazamas.
We have started that program, and I always tell people that we've issued the first 20 licenses. 20
Yeah.
to artisanal miners. And what we are avoiding is to run with a speed that will make us commit a number of mistakes.
Yeah.
But my own view is that the little experience we had, we went to Ghana
Yeah.
and learned some basic lessons
Yeah.
of running artisanal miners. And Zambia is having some depth of knowledge. We should be able to go to Zambia and learn more. And what we can do if we appreciate the importance of this is to go together with artisanal miners from Lesotho to whatever third country we're going to, train together and send them back. We begin to understand the fact that value addition doesn't need a big factory, for example, but it needs a small space but security, and combine our efforts, because on cutting small diamonds, the CEO can tell us, on cutting small diamonds, India is much ahead of all of us.
Yeah.
India is much ahead of us. And to catch up with India will require quite a careful and collaborative approach to
And
attending
if we
the matter.
started working with them, they are friends within the BRICS.
Yes.
So it shouldn't be a problem to work with them.
Now working with BRIC partners, they're big. Some of them are too big to talk to. Instead of wanting to help you, they will want you to send your diamonds to them. So,
No, that's crazy. Okay, but let's talk about the state within your 90 clients and so on, right? Would you say that that fits in within the category in some instances of artisanal mining, or you are just dealing with the front end where they are now cutting and polishing, not the harvesting of the actual diamonds?
Actually, the clients of the State Diamond Trader are doing the actual diamond beneficiation. So the clients of the State Diamond Trader, they buy rough diamonds from the State Diamond Trader for purposes of cutting and polishing. And the law states that out of those diamonds, 80% of those diamonds should be beneficiated in the country, and they can only export rough diamonds 20%. So that is in the Diamond Act. So 80% of what they buy from the State Diamond Trader should be beneficiated. Obviously, it excludes the diamonds that Minister is talking about, those small diamonds that South Africa is unable to beneficiate. And those are the challenges that talks to technology and also issue of labor costs, which we are unable to compete with countries like India. But those diamonds that we are able to beneficiate in South Africa, so 80% of those are beneficiated in the country, and it is the law.
All right, quickly before we go to a break, have you reached out to India at all? I mean, to see whether we can take advantage of the relationship we have with India
So what
to assist you?
So what we do, part of our clients actually are Indian clients, Indian companies. So then what we do exchange programs where then they take in our people for training purposes. But the biggest challenge is the labor cost. It gets expensive to cut and polish a small diamond in South Africa compared to India.
Which will bring us to the issue of capacity. We'll talk about that after the break. My guests, the ministers of minerals from Lesotho and South Africa, as well as the CEO of the State Diamond Trader, will talk to me a little bit about capacity. How do we ensure that we are ready, we are in the front lines of ensuring that indeed there is beneficiation that can, as the word says itself, benefit South Africa and other African countries who actually have the capacity to produce these minerals. I mean, and all of the African producers account for almost 60% of the world's diamonds. So why should less beneficiation come our way? We take a break. After the break, we carry on with that conversation. Stay tuned. With diamonds on my mind tonight. They are saying diamonds are forever. Are they? Are they forever? Or we're gonna run short at some point? Just tell me if you guys reconciled, because you have blamed the Basotho nationals for being at the heart of the Zama Zama story. Okay, I'm paraphrasing you, but you can correct me if you like. But if you reconciled, in other words, you see eye to eye about how to deal with illegal mining as opposed to artisanal mining that he's talking about.
There are two things that you must make an observation on.
Yeah.
Lesotho used to be a leader in terms of numbers of Zama-Zamas.
Oh, used to be.
It used to be.
Yeah.
If you go to the Stilfontein situation, they are number 3, far behind. The biggest number is from Zimbabwe.
In terms of the quantities of
in
people,
terms of
numbers of people in
who came
underground.
Yes.
Yeah.
Biggest number was Zimbabwe, followed by Mozambique. Only then did Lesotho come.
Yeah.
So to me, it means that there is a limited response to our view on Zama-Zamas.
Yeah.
But we can do more to stop Zama-Zamas.
Yeah.
But artisanal mining as a response is not going to address the question of Zama-Zamas. It will address the question of entrepreneurs who want to get in mining in a small scale.
Yeah.
Let me give you an example. The 20 we were given, we gave them initial capital of 4.3 million rand each.
You give them money?
We gave them money, 4.3 million. And it is proving to be insufficient. We'll have to revisit that and give them a start-up amount that will make them start a viable business that can grow.
Yeah.
If we don't do that, we're going to be in trouble. We are discussing with the Treasury, and we think that that initiative is going to work better for us. And the police must compliment us by being harsh on illegal mining, because it is a criminal activity.
Yeah. Minister, please just put me out of my misery on this. Right? Do you share the view that a lot of Basotho nationals are actually the kingpins of Zama-Zamas in South Africa? I mean, we've just had the horrible thing in Stilfontein.
We talk of Tiger now.
Where half of them refuse to come out. It's just a big mess, with, I don't know, just tons of bodies being, because they refuse to come out of underground. They've created a whole city underground and so on. Is your view that there's a problem there which must be admitted, that your nationals are busy here underground?
Well look, let's start here. Illegal miners are illegal. Zamas are illegal. They are illegal.
They're illegal, yes.
So there's no two ways about it. They are illegal.
Yeah.
But there's a history to us behind all this.
Okay.
For instance, if you take the fact that Lesotho had the most migrant laborers in South Africa,
sending country there, so
then probably it would make sense to say that a lot of Basotho who see the opportunity of illegal mining are coming into South Africa to try and exploit that.
Is it because most of them were actually previously in mining, so they actually understand these shafts and so on? Apparently about 6,000 of these shafts that are just left sort of unsealed.
The numbers of migrant workers coming into South Africa from all over the region has been declining. And most of these people who come back to these mines, their fathers, their grandfathers used to work for the mines. And now, once the work is shrinking, they try and find ways of surviving. And one of the problems is this. You have, for instance, money that has been due to the labor sending countries called unclaimed terminal benefits of migrant laborers. It's about 42 billion.
Sure.
That money is sitting with various asset managers. It's not being repatriated back to the labor sending
I
countries.
think if you unlock that, you'll have less illegal mining.
Yes, because obviously what will
So why
happen
don't
is
you
that
unlock it? Why don't you talk to South Africa and you unlock
that's
it?
what we are starting to discuss. Because if you unlock that money, you'll be able to put school kids through, give them scholarships, retrain some of the miners, take care of their health needs, do projects within their communities. It's a lot of money. That money has accumulated over the last 50 years. So it's part of the jigsaw puzzle to try and
I think
address.
you must both unlock that, but
to address that situation.
Let's go to CEO. I'm not going to involve you on that one. They'll sort it out. Let's
A little bit.
okay. So
One,
CEO.
what we should appreciate is that if Lesotho National have unclaimed wages, it doesn't belong to Lesotho. It belongs to the individual miners. And the miners must claim their money. And I have some practical
But you're committed to try and sort it out.
Yes, but if they, for example, when we started with the silicosis claims, we actually created facilities to claim silicosis claims
Across the region.
across the region. Yes.
Claimed. It's people who have died. It's people who, when they came to the mines and people didn't know their date of birth.
How do you suggest that be unlocked?
Well, it's a matter of the government saying this one which is unclaimed has to be either put in a one sovereign fund where communities can do applications for projects. Because you'll never be able to trace those people. For instance, you'd find a situation where somebody goes to a mine, they take his name, but they don't know the birth date. All they used to write on that ID of his, it's 1900. A few years down the line, he has an ID. They try and connect the ID to the date of birth, it's not there.
And they can't,
so there's money which is unclaimed, but there's money which cannot even be disbursed.
I don't want to belabor this, but it looks like you've got something to discuss.
Now we can discuss that. But what is not going to be viable is to think that money belongs to individual miners, belong to the state. That includes unclaimed salaries of South Africans. We can't just take it and keep it in the treasury.
All right. I don't want you to deadlock on air. I want you to recognize that there's something to discuss. I've not heard of this thing before.
Definitely.
And I've not put my head around it myself. I want to go to capacity, CEO. It looks like you may have to take the lead on capacity. You know what needs to be done. You know where the gaps are. What are some of the ideas that the State Diamond Trader has so that in 10 years' time you have enough artisanal, artisans rather, right, who can actually help you to beneficiate at a faster pace? You've got more entrepreneurs who are going to be your pipeline. You've got more educational institutions that, could get people interested in the, if you like, for lack of a better way, the front end of mining, rather than we're going to dig it up or we're going to be artisanal mining. Your view there, I'm sure there must be some program that you are thinking about.
When we did the media launch of the Diamond Show, the chairperson of the board of the regulator, Mr. Mngomezulu, said one thing. It is all good and beautiful that the State Diamond Trader is launching this inaugural event. But what next? What is it that then the State Diamond Trader is going to show after 5 years? The State Diamond Trader has a responsibility to say, today we have 90 clients. Out of those 90 clients, I'm saying to you, some of them are renting benches. But how do we ensure that then those ones that are renting benches, they have their own factories one day? And there are challenges and gaps in the market which talks to financial capacity. So from here now, there's a very important thing that State Diamond Trader needs to do is to engage your development banks of this country to
Yes.
show appetite in investing in diamonds, because our development banks are not investing in diamonds. So that's challenge number one.
Yeah.
Because if you are saying to me, no, see, transform the industry, and we are talking about historically disadvantaged South Africans, and this is a capital intensive industry, it needs money. So
Yeah.
we need our development banks to come to play,
Yeah.
to say then we are willing to invest
Yeah.
into this historically disadvantaged.
And so far they're not showing interest.
No, there's no interest, but I am engaging
But
them.
you've reached out to
I
them.
I am engaging with them.
Yeah.
But and what is important that I would like to see, let's say, no, see at the end of your 5-year term, what would you want to have
Yeah.
is to have a beneficiation fund for South Africa,
Yeah.
where a historically disadvantaged South African can have access
Yeah.
to funding, to purchase diamonds, to be able to open a factory. And with that, then we can grow this industry.
Yeah.
It needs money.
I need to go to a break, but after that I want to zone in that, because what you are raising may just point to the issue of transformation in the broader industry. And since we are the mining in Indaba, I would like you all to weigh in on the transformation. Are we making progress? You know, is there still resistance, you know, to transforming this industry so that you don't have to pull teeth to just get big players like your development bank in this case to be involved in changing the face of mining? We'll talk about that after the break. We wrap up that conversation after the break by talking about transformation in the mining industry, especially on the sidelines of the mining in Indaba happening here in the mother city. Stay tuned. Of that conversation on the sidelines of the Diamond Show here in the mother city, and I'm going to be asking my guests to weigh in on the issue of transformation. Let me start with you, Minister.
Transformation.
Yeah.
I always tell my cabinet colleagues that mining is the fastest transforming sector in the economy.
Seriously?
Yes, it is.
They'll be very happy to hear that.
I
We
say
see
that-
the opposite.
I say that all the time.
Yeah.
For example, a person like you, a lay person like you, will see banking from a better light than mining.
Yeah.
Let me give you just few examples.
Yeah.
You see mining, go to mining and look into the coal mining sector. That sector is actually wholly black owned and managed. It's not just managed,
Yeah.
it's owned and managed. And that trend is growing in manganese.
Yeah.
It is emerging in PGMs.
Yeah.
It is lower in PGMs, very slow in gold. And the reason for that is the amount of money that must be front-loaded to start projects in
Like
those
gold.
sectors.
Yes, yes.
So that change is clear. You can see it, Sereti, Exaro, Tungela, and the smaller ones that are there in coal mining. It's the fastest growing, the fastest transforming industry.
Yeah.
Number two, you can do your own research. I did mine. All the major mining companies, without exception,
Yeah.
not a single one has less than 50% blacks in their
In their directorship.
in their
The
management structure,
management, yeah.
from lowest to the highest.
Yes, and ownership.
And actually, they are doing better at the top because they can steal skills from various other people.
Yeah.
At the bottom, it goes very low because you must train a miner, make a mine over.
Yeah. At the top, you can bring people from other
You can
industries
poach
as well.
from everywhere.
Yeah.
And from among themselves. But at the bottom, you must invest.
Interesting. Diamond industry.
Lastly, let me give you one last
Yeah.
thing. You'll remember that, JJ, mining was not employing women.
Yeah.
Totally. Today, 75,000 miners are female.
All right.
That is transformation.
Would you share that sentiment in the diamond diamond industry, that there's a huge leaps of transformation as described by the minister? Don't be afraid to contradict him.
From a woman's point of view, there is transformation, but it is going at a slow pace.
It's slow when as far as
it is at
gender
a slow pace.
equality is concerned.
Yes. I think Minister has a point. I'm one of the few females that joined the industry after women were given opportunities to get into it. It is a difficult industry. You need resilience to stay in it. And then one of the challenges, I'm talking now from a management point of view, then women will be trained as engineers and then they will opt to go to the bank instead of working for a mining house that is based in Kathu, that is based in Limpopo. So there are all its own challenges that then women needs to also, it's opening up, they need to embrace all the challenges that comes with the mining industry.
Interesting perspective there. Lesotho, I mean, do you have any problem of this nature, or is that 100% owned by Basotho?
No, it's not. You find that most of the mines, the 4 big mines we have, are owned by international companies plus government. Government will be holding, say, about 30%. So there should be transformation there. But the way I see it in Lesotho, it's when you talk about transformation of the economy. Our 4 mines, our 4 diamond mines, contribute about 8% of the GDP of the country. Which means if we could
are
double...
they owned by the Basotho?
I'm saying 30% it's owned by government.
Government, and then 70 by foreigners.
By foreigners. That's why I'm saying that's where our challenge is. We need to start getting more and more.
To turn that on its head, in a sense.
Because obviously once that happens is that your information, your capacity, you rely on foreign companies to do that. Some of these companies actually have data that government does not even have.
Crazy. CEO, the Diamond Show is a new addition to the mining in Daba, right? What do you hope to achieve with that, given all the challenges you've talked about, from beneficiation to transformation, etc.? Quick, high level, tell us what would you aim to achieve with that kind of addition? I mean, there's already a clutter of all kinds of parallel conversations in the mining in Daba.
Part of the State Diamond Traders mandate is to ensure that its clients have access to markets. And most of our clients, they are selling their diamonds internationally. So we are building a South African market now so that our clients are able to have a market where they can sell their cut and polish goods here in South Africa and also their jewelry. And why did we choose this week that has the mining in Daba? The mining in Daba attracts about 10,000 people from all over the world. So we thought this is an opportune time to say in that 10,000 that comes to South Africa at this week, let them then participate into buying diamonds from our clients. So
and the range, I mean, could I get something for my wife?
Of course.
That's affordable.
Yes, you can. You can buy a diamond for your wife. There will be jewelry designers there. They can design for you from scratch. So they will be
on the spot.
We can link you up with those jewelry designers. You buy a cut and polish diamond and get a jewelry designer designing a nice piece of jewelry for your wife. It's there from the next 3 days at the Capetonian.
This is exciting stuff. Parting shot quickly. The students are wondering what to study, and often there is a difficulty of pushing students toward being artisans around diamond and so. Your way to students who could be considering a career in this line, quickly.
A student who go to university, for example, I discourage people to do social sciences in big numbers.
Okay.
I'm a social scientist. I discourage people because that area of work is cluttered. And I want people to study hard careers. I was telling some people in Kala that geography is a major for a geologist. Geography is a major for a geologist. And they must look at it as a career. And mining engineering, metallurgy, those are very important. And other categories of engineering. That's what I would encourage.
Right.
If you can go to university, please go to FET college. Don't do management in FET colleges because you won't compete with managers from university. Do hard engineering skills at FET college.
Parting shots is not.
Please visit the Cape Townian from the 3rd to the 5th and come and experience beautifully cut and polished diamonds mined in South Africa, produced by South Africans. Thank you.
All right. Minister, you got the last word.
Yes, I think if you look at the mining value chain, there's a lot of opportunities, not only for the miners, but subcontractors, plant hire, explosives, fuel delivery. So there's a whole host of services that individuals can hone on and provide.
Right. Thank you all so much for your perspectives tonight. I hope that our viewers have a better idea of how the industry is evolving. Thank you so much for your time tonight. I appreciate it. I hope that helped you to get a different perspective about what's happening in mining. Certainly, I learned a lot. I mean, I've always held the view that there's the general transformation is the snail's pace. I think that's been slightly debunked tonight. And then also the issue of beneficiation. I've always thought, oh, this is just a slogan, but I think there's organizations that are hard at work to make sure that that reality changes. But of course, a lot still needs to be done. But until we talk frankly again, may God bless you.